You probably use it every single day without even realizing it. It's the engine that powers the magic in your phone's voice assistant. And it's the tech that lets you unlock your screen just by looking at it. But what is this incredibly powerful technology, really? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly what deep learning is. Okay, so let's start with the tech we already know and use. Honestly, if you think about it, just 10 years ago, a lot of this stuff would have felt like it was straight out of science fiction. But now, it's so woven into our lives we barely even notice the super complex systems running under the hood. I mean, think about it. Your voice assistant understands what you're asking for. Cars are starting to navigate busy streets all by themselves. And software can instantly spot and tag your friends in photos. These aren't just clever little programs. We're talking about systems that can perceive and kind of understand the world in a way that feels, well, almost human. So what's the common thread here? What is the one powerful engine that's driving all of these incredible advancements? The answer? It's a concept called deep learning. And that's the core idea we're going to unpack today. It's the real powerhouse behind all this AI that feels less like a machine and, more like magic. All right, let's really dive into this. The name itself, deep learning, actually gives us a huge clue. This isn't just about crunching data. It's about understanding it on a much, much deeper level. And it does it in a way that's modeled after our very own minds. And that's the absolute key. At its heart, deep learning is a type of machine learning that's inspired by the human brain. So instead of a programmer having to write code for every single possible task, these systems are actually designed to learn on their own, just by recognizing patterns in massive amounts of data. So how does it do this? Well, it uses something called an artificial neural network, basically a system of digital neurons that pass signals to each other. Now, the deep part in deep learning, that just means the network has a whole bunch of layers of these neurons. This layered structure is exactly what makes it so powerful, because each layer builds its understanding on the work of the layer that came right before it. Let's make this more concrete, because it can feel a little abstract. Probably the best way to really get this layered approach is to look at a classic example: teaching a machine how to see and recognize an object in a picture. So imagine you're showing this system a picture of a car. The very first layer of the network doesn't see a car at all. No way. Its job is to learn to identify really simple things like basic lines, curves, just fundamental edges. Then the next layer takes those edges and learns how to combine them into more complex shapes, like circles and rectangles. Finally, another layer takes those shapes and learns how to assemble them to recognize complex objects, like a wheel or a headlight, and then eventually the entire car. It's like a hierarchy of understanding, building from the simplest little piece to the whole complex thing. And that is the secret sauce. This whole process of building understanding, layer by layer by layer, is what allows these models to be so unbelievably accurate. They aren't just matching pixels. They're learning the fundamental building blocks of what makes a car, or what makes a face. It's pretty amazing. So now we kind of get the core concept. It's this layered, brain-inspired way of learning that powers everything from our voice assistants to facial recognition. But knowing what these layered networks do, that just naturally leads us to the next big question. How do they do it? So we're left with this one really fascinating question. We know these networks learn in layers, okay? But how do they actually learn? How does a network adjust itself when it gets something wrong to get it right the next time? Answering that, well, that's the next step in truly understanding this game-changing technology.